you, Higher Mind Band. You're fabulous. Yay! Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend C.C. Coltrane, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Greater Dayton. If you are here for the first time, a special welcome and thanks for sharing your morning with us. On your bulletin cover, there's a little strip you can write your contact information on and tear off and take over to the Welcome Center at the end of the service so that we can stay in touch with you, tell you about the activities that are happening around here, and put you on the mailing list if you desire for the Wednesday little spiritual pick-me-up email that goes out every week. This community is passionate about spiritual transformation, and the path of transformation is sometimes bumpy. Have you noticed? So if you're in a bumpy spot, know that we will walk with you, that you will receive love and support and prayer and companionship as you wend your way along that bumpy stretch. Today our pulpit assistant is Linda Andriaco, our vigil holder is Lenza Smith, and our candle lighting will be done by Stephanie Stewart and me, I guess. We do an interfaith candle lighting to begin the service because here we draw from and look at and honor and learn from all of the world's spiritual and religious traditions, the same way our founder, Ernest Holmes, did. So right now we're going to take a few minutes to greet each other. And then by the time we finish that, there'll be about double as this many people. We're notoriously late in getting here. It's interesting. But in this greeting, we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. So if you're not in the mood for a hug, that's absolutely fine. You can put out your hand for a handshake or just stay in your chair. Otherwise, you will be hugged. You will be hugged, I can promise you that. And so we'll do that for a couple of minutes, and when you hear the music start up, come back and sing our opening song, which is We Are Opening. Funny thing, we're opening for our opening song. Anyway, let's say good morning to each other.
So we light the first candle in honor of Buddhism. To be a monk is to have time to practice for your transformation and healing, and after that to help with the transformation and healing of other people. We light the second candle in honor of Taoism. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. We light the third candle in honor of Judaism. You must also face the real world and challenge its chutzpah over and over. To do that, you need supreme wholeness, as though you were Adam in the garden before his fall. And if you should say, but it is impossible, it is beyond the capacity of a created being to be both something and nothing at once, you are right. It is impossible. That is precisely the advantage of being the human being. That is why God created you, to join heaven and earth, nothingness and being, to make the impossible a reality. We light the fourth candle in honor of Christianity. The miracle of Jesus is not that he was a superhuman figure, but that he was a mature and whole human being. He is a model of what it means to be fully human. He was called the Christ, an embodiment of the archetype of wholeness that is at work within each one of us and permeates the universe. The goal and the fulfillment of our lives, and ultimately the collective life of humanity, is to come to maturity, to the full measure of the stature of Christ as set out in Ephesians 4:12. We light the fifth candle in honor of Islam. Muslims constantly are reminded that engaging to create a more humane world is required. Salvation means not only to be saved from sinful activities, but also to be engaged actively in the improvement of the world. Becoming a morally upright person is possible only through morally informed conduct. We light the sixth candle in honor of the Native American traditions. Treat the earth and all that dwell thereon with respect. Remain close to the Great Spirit. Show great respect for your fellow human beings. Work together for the benefit of all mankind. Give assistance and kindness wherever needed. Do what you know to be right. Look after the well-being of mind and body. Dedicate a share of your efforts to the greater good. Be truthful and honest at all times. Take full responsibility for your actions. And we light the final candle in honor of the Wiccan tradition. The goddess within has many names. She is the great goddess, the mother goddess, the star goddess. She is the ground of all existence. She is the pregnant void that exists in the blackness between the stars and beyond the subatomic particles. She is the quantum field of all potentiality, the mother of everything that has taken form in this universe. Reawakening her is the spiritual act which can save the physical world, and we awaken the great goddess not only out there, but within each of us. This is how she regains her place and power in the world.
Today's reading is from Ernest Holmes. Energy is eternal. The stuff out of which all forms are made is indestructible. In this vast change we live in, the flux and flow and ebb and tide of evolution, there is a constancy, a consistence. There is in the midst of all movement something which does not move and yet which moves all things. If you'll please take these words into the silence for a few moments. God is right here, right now, has always been and ever will be. God is expressing through the beautiful sunshine, the beautiful clouds, the gorgeous stars at night, all the trees that are changing into their beautiful fall colors. Everywhere you see God, God is within each and every person here. We are the expressions of God, moving and walking and talking and being the wonderful beings that we are. I am thankful for this center. I am thankful for this wonderful band, for the people in the back with the church ministry and everyone who has shown up to share this experience. And together we say, and so it is.
So our October theme is global transformation through personal transformation. And I don't know about you, but particularly in my past, sometimes I've watched the news and thought too much about what was happening in the world and thought, what can I do? There's only one of me. What could I possibly do to change all this? And we see what's happening in our own country, the polarization and the anger and the disrespect for anyone who's different and all the feelings that are getting triggered right now. We think, has anything really changed? And can I do anything about it? And does it even matter what I do? But here's the thing we overlook, I think. We are the world. We are society. We are the universe. We are all of it. Each one of us is part of this thing we call our culture and this thing we call humanity, and we're the only ones who can do anything about it. Margaret Mead's famous quote is, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And the only reason it's the only thing that ever has is because we're it. We are the world. And if there's only one mind and we're all part of it, then if there's only one life and we're all part of it, then if there's only one human race and we're all part of it, then it begins to change as we begin to change. It changes as we become transformed, and it changes when we step fully and completely into who we are and why we're here. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, in his Beverly Hills lectures, which were actually transcriptions of a lot of the talks that he gave in the beginning of his whole career, he said the whole basis of the philosophy of metaphysics and its practice lies in the concept that the universe is self-existent, self-energizing, self-propelling, self-knowing, and self-acting, and that everything that is takes place within one infinite self, which is undivided and indivisible, but which out of its own unity creates the vast multiplication of itself, this great variation of life. That is the absolute and self-existent cause of everything that is, that thing we call God. Holmes defined it as a principle and power and presence that makes everything out of itself, and that contains and sustains everything within itself. That's an interesting paradox, out of itself and within itself. And so it goes by all the names we've ever given it. It goes by God, Allah, spirit, universe, intelligence, energy, life. It goes by all of those different names, but its essence is the same no matter what you call it. And we're part of it. We're part of that undivided and indivisible one. We are seen in form as its individualization. Like, there are maple trees and oak trees and pecan trees and all sorts of other trees, and there are Lanas and Lindas and Stephanies and all sorts of other people that are still all part of that one life. It just becomes individualized and is seen as us. And so we are also like that one, self-existent, self-energizing, self-propelling, self-knowing, and self-acting. And as we work with our own personalized consciousness, as we work with our own individualized beingness, we work with the whole. We affect the whole. Once we realize very, very deeply who we are, then our work with the whole takes on new power, and we become very conscious about it, and all that we do is sort of multiplied. And I guess the issue is, how do we get to that deep level of realization and connection with the one absolute cause of all existence that we call God? I don't know about you, but in the past I had difficulty relating to anything that was absolute. It's one reason I'm here. They didn't tell me I couldn't believe whatever I wanted to believe. They didn't say there are absolute things in which you must believe. Thank you, because I would never have said yes to anything in those days, I think. But what I wanted was someone to help me relate this concept of God or universe to my day-to-day life. I think we have to make a concept graspable and personal before we can embrace it. And so I think we first realize our connection with the cause of all that is up here, intellectually, sort of cognitively. And Ernest Holmes, in his writings, talks a lot about this cognitive click that happens. In Love and Law, which is one of the very earliest collections of Ernest Holmes' talks, he said, everything is of the one ultimate substance. And it's all indestructible because it's all God. God's center is everywhere, and God's circumference is nowhere. He didn't make that up. He picked it up from an ancient Greek philosopher, but science tells us basically the same thing, that everything in the universe originated from this one single point in this one single moment we call the Big Bang. Everything sprang from that original unity. Every subatomic particle, every erg of energy, it all arose from that single moment and that single point. And we know that the laws of thermodynamics tell us that that matter and energy are indestructible. They may change forms, but they're indestructible. The total amount is indestructible. Holmes called it God stuff. because he didn't know what else to call it. He said, all there is the expression of the one and only cause. There's no other substance from which anything is created, no other energy except the life of God. And the writers of the Bible, the book of Genesis, said we were made in the image and likeness of that one indestructible, infinite cause. The fun thing I find interesting is now cosmologists and astronomers are telling us that the center of the universe is everywhere and its circumference is nowhere, right? Every single one of us is the center of the universe. Because if you think about it, no matter what point in space you take, space is expanding outward in all directions equally to infinity from that point. So you are the center of the universe. I am the center of the universe. We are each the center of the universe. So given those things, that we're as indestructible as God, because we're made up of matter and energy, and that we're the center of the universe, we are at the center of God. The attributes we associate with the divine are our attributes individually and collectively when we let them be. When we let them be. So we realize this first on a cognitive level, and then we take these intellectual concepts into our spiritual practice. You know, if you sit with a statement like, I am the center of the universe, or God in me, as me, is me, or I am the very life of life, you sit with those statements, then everything about them that's in your mind and heart is going to come up. Like, I am the center of the universe. First thing that comes up for me is, don't think too much of yourself, kid. Don't get a big head, right? That's my old training. My old training is to be ashamed of that claim. And then it's like, wow, what does that really mean? And then I'm off into the vast reaches of space and contemplating and realizing that what it means for me is that the life of the universe is expressing as me right now. What do I want that to look like? What do I want that to look like, right? For most of us, what comes up at some point is that little voice that says, well, that might be true for other people, but not for you. Because you're not good enough to claim you're the center of the universe. However that voice speaks to you. Mine's pretty incisive, pretty cutting, pretty nasty, and I have to just sit with it and say, yeah, thanks for sharing. Now let's move on. You know, we have to let those things come up and then hold them up against what we know must be the truth. If there's only one life, one substance, one thing going on here, we can't be outside of it. We can't be. It's impossible. We must be right in the middle of it. And so we begin to affirm for ourselves that it's true about us too. We really are the center of the universe. We really are an expression of that one life. We affirm over and over, and we contemplate again and again and again until the truth starts to loosen the grip of those old thoughts, those things that wrap themselves around our minds and hearts and keep us from seeing something bigger, something less limiting. And that idea begins to make a home in us. And we begin to ask questions of ourselves like, if I really believe that I am the indestructible God essence, would I not place greater faith in my own intuition? If I am a place the divine shows up in the world, am I not going to be open to wider possibility for myself? If I truly embrace that I am the one self-existent cause, that it's alive in me, that it is what I am, would I not hold myself in a little bit higher regard, as well as holding everyone else in a little bit higher regard? Might I be more compassionate towards myself and others? How differently we might relate to the events of our lives if we knew they were the life of God unfolding. How would that shift our perspective and change our perception? And then we begin to ask ourselves, that question again. If what I am saying and thinking and doing in the world is manifesting this one life, is it manifesting the truth of God as I know it, as I understand it? Or is there something else getting in the way and making itself manifest by means of me? That smallness, that negativity, that I'm not enoughness. And one of the hugest ones for me is when I began to understand that I am made of the same indestructible stuff. I started to think, how can I let fear have a hold on me if what I am is indestructible? If somehow I am indestructible. And of course, if we're part of that one self-propelling, self-knowing, self-activating, self-acting cause, we come to the realization finally that we're creating the circumstances we call life. We're creating together the circumstances we call the world. And it's not even, well, Holmes says it's not really creating, it's conversion. It's a conversion process. We're taking one form and converting it into another. We're taking a combination of matter and energy and reconfiguring it into a new combination of matter and energy. In the beginning, God conceived, he said, or thought, substance. And then he thought upon this substance and made form. And the substance was within God, for where else could God go for this substance when there's nothing but God? God thought this substance and it was made. God thought upon this substance and produced all that is. So what we perceive as creation is just this constant conversion process. You know, all we have to do is look outside. Water and carbon dioxide come together and are somehow converted into a leaf. And then at some point, the leaf starts to fall off the tree, change color, fall off the tree, and become digested and converted into some new life form. And that's what's happening all around us all the time. The same process is part of who we are. It's our nature to convert one form into another. It's our nature to take circumstances and alter them and change them and create newly. It's our nature to change the way we experience life. We each have that power all the time. We have to take that idea once again back to our spiritual practice and contemplate, how am I creating right now? What idea, what exciting thing, what vision do I have that I really want to move toward? What experiential state do I want more of? More joy, more harmony, more love, more confidence, more peace of mind? How do I move in that direction? So we don't have to create it. All we have to do is be open to the conversion happening, right? And so spiritual practice, our meditation and our contemplation, affirmation and prayer, they bring into our awareness the old thought habits that keep us from moving in that direction, that keep us from changing the circumstances of our lives, that keep us repeating the old over and over and over again. And then we pick up spiritual tools and we begin to disassemble and reassemble. We begin that process of conversion from one state to another. And I think the most powerful spiritual tool I know for getting there, and one that I recommend often, is the practice of gratitude. It will dislodge depression. It will dislodge poverty thinking. It will dislodge almost anything, any negative thinking that I could think about. It's a simple practice of making a list of what we're grateful for and moving forward into being grateful for absolutely everything. And we start to perceive more of what's good and less of what's frustrating, less of what's disheartening, less of what's cruel. I promise you, you have nothing to lose. Try it for 90 days and see if your life doesn't change utterly. It's a very simple thing. And I can promise you, your life will change in just 90 days. And as I say, you got nothing to lose, right? And gratitude goes right along with maybe the second most powerful spiritual tool I know, and that is forgiveness. And forgiveness has nothing to do with anybody else. It has only to do with us. And there's lots of opportunities to practice these days. Every time you turn on the television or go onto Facebook or go on the internet, you can find an opportunity for forgiveness. Forgiveness frees us from repetitive, mean-spirited, vengeful anger that we hold about what someone else did. It keeps us from getting triggered by their behavior, because that's my biggest problem, right? I will turn on the news and go and bite the hook, and it will drag me from here to wherever and back. If I can stop and say, I'm going to forgive everything I perceive as a slight, I'm free. I don't have to go there. And I can start from this different place of freedom, of power, of potency, without getting hooked or triggered by what somebody else does. Again, what have you got to lose? Try it for 90 days. We only have a month till the election, but there'll be some time after that too. We'll still be able to find things to forgive, I'm sure, right? Just forgive every slight you perceive, past or present. Keep at it. Keep at it until there's one that you're perceiving as being awful or slighting you, until they can walk through the halls of your mind unmolested. Meaning you don't feel a thing. You let them in, you let them go. It's no big deal. If you do that as an investment in yourself, I guarantee you will be amazed before the 90 days is out. Because these practices, these tools, and these practices of which we've spoken change our consciousness. And a change in our consciousness changes everything. We get a bigger perspective. We get a deeper perspective. We get more understanding. We begin to see who we really are. Manifestations of the self-existent cause we call God. And we move more and more deeply, always, into connection, into the connection between each other and that source of everything that is. This, I think, is what all of the enlightened teachers of the ages have told us. I look at the Bible, for example, as a story about conscious evolution. And we begin in a place far long ago and far, far away, and we were at the whim of this thing we call deity, the vengeful God of the Old Testament, for example. And things happen, and we keep learning, and we keep learning. Have you noticed the same lesson over and over and over again in the Bible? And we arrive at this new manifestation of things called Jesus. And Jesus said, all these things and more you shall do if you believe. And Jesus forgave and forgave and forgave and blessed and thanked Abba for everything. Buddha said the same thing. This is about you getting to the place where you know who you really are. All the enlightened ones taught us that this is a progression we are making. I think the most powerful work we can do and the most powerful gift we can give ourselves is to wake up to the truth about ourselves. To wake up to the truth of who we are and support others in waking up to that same truth. This message that we're interrelated, interconnected, interdependent, woven together in God, life, and one another, that we are indestructible life, that we have the power to shape the form and feeling of our future, is the one spiritual message the world's been waiting for us to get. It's been waiting for people to wake up and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm it. I am that. I'm the one. It's the message that I think will let us bring about sustainable and loving and fair and just answers to the challenges we face as a human culture. I think we're here to live that message so the whole world can see it. And as we live this message out loud, through what we do, who we are, what we say, how we act, we heal the racism. We heal the misogyny, we heal the fear, the anger, the violence, we heal all of that stuff, because just as those things are outpicturings of old consciousness, so will new consciousness rooted in this message of the truth of who we all really are bring about peace and joy and harmony and love and justice and a world that truly does work for all. So let's come together in consciousness right now. Let's allow ourselves to drop below the surface level of worry and resentment and fear and anger and all of that, and drop into that great, cavernous, peaceful space that lies underneath all of that. That place that is filled with light. That place that reflects back to us the truth of our own being. There is a place within each one of us where we can always find peace, where we can always find joy and harmony, where we can always find all the power we need, all the information we need, all the everything that we need. And sometimes that place we can only stick our head into for a moment, and then our minds take us elsewhere. But that place is always there, and it never changes. And as we continue to go there and practice just being that, it becomes more and more solid, more and more secure, more and more the place we come from. This place within us is called by as many names as Spirit is. It is the place Spirit dwells within us. It is the place we hear the still small voice. It is the place we see reflected back to us the very truth of our lives. And as we rest in this place, I simply acknowledge that there is one. There is only one. There is one life, one cause, one mind, one infinite and unconditional love that weaves everything together into a unity. And from that one spring all the manifold manifestations of life. Every planet, every star, every life form, every grain of sand, every flower and tree, everything that exists was created from and by and through and as this one indestructible, infinite, self-existent cause. And that includes me. And that includes everyone in this room. It includes everyone, everywhere. We are one. We share atoms of ourselves with each other, and when we meet, we share breath with each other and the whole world, across history and around the world. We share thoughts with each other. We share so much of our lives in and with this one. And it is all that we are. And so right where we are, it is with its creative power, its joy, its harmony, its health, its well-being, its abundance, its peace, its infinite unconditional love. It is who and what we are. And so I know for each one of us that we simply rest with this notion until we feel it to our very core. That we pick up all the spiritual tools the sages of the ages have given us. We use them. We use them so that we can step forward and say, I am the place. The future is born. I am the place Spirit shows up as love, as joy, as justice, as hope, as compassion, as wisdom, as intelligence, as all good things. I am that place. And I know that we step into that and we live it. We live it out loud. We proudly show that yes, this is the life of all of us. And as we do that, everything changes. As we do that, we see more love, more justice, more joy, more harmony, more hope, more abundance and health in the world. It is the way it works. It is the outpicturing of our own consciousness. how amazing, how freeing, how empowering that is. And I say thank you. I say thank you to that self-existent cause for this day, for this community, for this life. I say thank you to God for all that happens. I call it good and very good. I bless it. I call it a force for good in our world and our universe. And I let it go because I know that the universe has already, as it always does, said yes. Thank you, God. And we say together, and so it is.
I am just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of life.
We are all just drops within a stream, flowing towards an ocean of light. We may forget where we come from, we may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. I am just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me, and I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where I come from, when I remember where I'm going to, then I will see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one.
Amen. So now we have an opportunity to give in support of our community and its work. So because what you give enables us to be here on Sunday, to offer the classes and the workshops we offer, to provide space for meditation and other spiritual practices that go on here all the time, to have a place where our kids learn from this big how magnificent they are, to create a community where we grow as people of service. And so I invite you to simply pause and count a few blessings right in this very moment. Count the blessings you receive from this community. Count the blessings in your life. Get into that place of deep gratitude for life itself, because that is the attitude that says yes, yes, yes. And let us affirm, my heart is open.
My heart is open.
I give from my open heart.
I give from my open heart.
I know that as I give, I am given to.
I know that as I give, I am given to.
And I am grateful.
And I am grateful.
And so it is. That is a great song. That is a great song. I love that song. Oh, let's see, Gary, where are you? Come make your announcement, sweetheart. Gary has an announcement for you about something coming up soon.
Hey. All right, you guys remember Vincent Price? He was the master of terror. Well, this will be the last time I'm going to torture you and torment you and terrorize. So, next Saturday, in honor of the changing season and the fall colors that are kind of depicted here, we're going to have a fall adventure at Twin Creek Metro Park, which is outside of Germantown. So we're going to have a haunted walk, about a 3 to 4, maybe 52 miles of walking. Is he telling the truth? Probably not. A fun walk to celebrate these great colors and to celebrate fitness and getting out and walking and getting the body moving. Then we're going to have a great dinner afterward outside, so I'm not sure how the temperatures are going to fare, but hopefully we can get this stretch of weather continues, which is amazing. But in any event,
Anybody see the full moon?
yeah. So with that, we're going to have even more fun. We'll have a bonfire, kind of like what we had 2 weeks ago, and s'mores and fun desserts and ghost stories and storytelling. And then camping if you're into that. So see me afterward. I'll be over here on the side. There's sign-ups on the bulletin board. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And thank you for the background music, Kenny.
Trail? Are you going to be the killer on the haunted trail?
Yes, the haunted hike will be haunted by Gary.
He's so scary.
He is so scary, I know, isn't he? He's terrifying. Woo. We have something else going on Saturday on the 22nd from 10 to 6. We are going to have a booth at the Human 2.0 Wellness Festival in Beaver Creek. I put a bunch of flyers over on the corner because a lot of us, I don't think, know about this. It's a free all day thing, and there are workshops on all sorts of things. There's yoga and Tai Chi and food trucks and more. So check it out. It might be a fun way for you to spend a couple hours before you go on the haunted hike. There's a lot happening on Saturday the 22nd. On Sunday the 23rd, if you're interested in finding out more about us here at the center, after service there'll be a short class called Find Out More. It is also a prerequisite to joining us as a member. It'll only be like it's not really 12 to 3:30 as it says in the bulletin, 12:30 to 3:30. It's more like 12:30 to 2:15. So bring your questions. I will do my best to answer them. You can sign up for this over at the Welcome Center on the bulletin board there. The following weekend, which is just before Halloween, on October 29th, we offer a financial planning workshop with Tom Cooper. Learn how to set realistic plans to achieve your financial goals, and also use spiritual tools to make it not only much more pleasant, but to make your abundance become real in your lives. There's a sign-up sheet if you sign up in the office, then you get a free book which will help you successfully and spiritually plan your financial life. You can do that. I think I'll put a notebook on the desk in there because Clara's not here, so you can just sign up there so we can catch you today while you're here if you're interested in doing that, because I think it's one of the things that we overlook a lot of the time is that, like anything else, you bring your consciousness to your financial life, it gets better. So that's what this is all about. You can take a look at the last page of the bulletin insert as well for more information on the page that says calendar, for more information about all the things that are happening in the next couple of weeks. If you would like prayer after service, just look for one of the people. She doesn't have hers, but look for one of the people in the teal or white shawls. Just ask them for a prayer. They'll find a quiet corner with you and pray with you. That's their gift to you on Sundays. These are licensed prayer practitioners. You can also put a written prayer request in the prayer chest, which is back on the table, and it'll be picked up after service, and the practitioners will pray for you. So I just want to say thanks to everybody who made this morning possible, our ushers and greeters, our practitioners, the welcome team, this amazing band, everybody working on Consciousness Cafe, and every one of you for being here. And Angie has stickers on her face. How cool. You got stickers on your head. How cool is that? That is great.
Sticker buddies.
I love it. I love it.
Sticker buddies.
Thank you all. So let's stand for our closing affirmation and our closing song, which is One Love. So please repeat after me. Spirit in me, as me, is me.
Spirit
In me, as me, is me. I am as God created me.
I am as God created me,
A divine being
a divine being,
imbued with the boundlessness of God.
imbued with the boundlessness of God.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
And so it is.
So it is.
Have a wonderful week, everybody.
You